Hello and welcome to the Authority of Love on this another Family Foundation Friday edition with our co-host David Walls. I'm your host Greg Williams, and we've got a lot to talk about today, but want to remind you that Love and Lordship's vision is this: every life and relationship built on the love and lordship of Jesus Christ. David, welcome, and welcome to our listeners today. Got a lot going on.
It is good to be with you, Greg.
Yes,
I'm fired up today.
I can tell. I can tell. Yeah, and I know why, because there are some really good things going on. Not everything maybe we wanted, we prayed for, but let me say this. Why is that happening? Because of groups like the Family Foundation and David and our good friends Kentucky Right to Life and Adia Wishner and you guys praying and keeping the pressure on. So we need you to keep doing that, calling, emailing. Today is the last day, and Monday starts the veto period, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so with that, likely Governor Beshear, there's nothing exciting new, he's probably going to veto everything we talk about today. So let's pray to get it through. There's enough to override that probably, right? But David, start with us. What is going on? Give us some things that are going on we need to really be praying and calling today, emailing.
Yeah, and as sometimes we mentioned, Greg, we're actually recording even a little bit earlier.
Yes.
So we're recording actually on Thursday as this is airing on Friday. Yeah. Friday is, again, the last day before the governor's veto period.
Today as they're listening,
yes,
right?
Yes, as they're listening. And so why is that so important, as you just said, Greg? Because anything that passes before the end of Friday, today, has the opportunity, if the governor vetoes it, they will reconvene for 2 final days. I believe it's March 27th and 28th, veto override days, and there's an opportunity to override the governor's veto. Right. And in Kentucky, it only requires a simple majority to override the governor's veto.
And we have way more than that.
Yes,
actually,
it should
be strong.
But let's say one of these important bills was not to pass now, and they were to try to pass it on one of the 2 last days.
Yes,
if the governor, if they passed it on the 27th or 28th of March, if the governor was to veto that bill, there's no more legislative days, and so it's dead. So that's why this is the urgency, and as Greg said, we're so thankful. There has been a lot of good momentum this session, a lot of good bills that are in play, and we just want to update on probably the 5 top bills and issues that have the opportunity to get done before the veto period at the end of today.
Yeah.
So,
and this, we're going to close with something that is really exciting. A lot of work's been done on this. David's going to tell you more about this after these 5. So please pay attention, call your friends, have them get on here because there's a lot of good things going on. David, tell us what that is.
Okay, so we're going to run through a couple bills. One, the bill, House Bill 4, to ban and defund discriminatory DEI in our public universities. Update, that bill passed the Senate late Wednesday night, and it has a small, essentially, title amendment change. So the only thing that's left to be done is the House just has to concur on that bill. Representative Jennifer Decker has done, just unbelievable work on that issue the last 2 legislative sessions. So we are right almost at the finish line in terms of sending the bill to the governor on House Bill 4. So we're excited and encouraged by that update.
Call your representatives, right?
Just encourage your House members to concur.
Through.
But with everything that's been done on that issue, I feel pretty good. That one's going to get done. Okay. Another very important one that's in play that we need you to contact, is to protect the medical conscience rights. Look, the right to conscience is a foundational right.
Yes.
It's explicitly stated in the Constitution of our Commonwealth. And so Senate Bill 132 is a bill to protect the medical conscience rights of our healthcare professionals, to protect their free speech, to essentially ensure that they are never forced or compelled to perform a procedure that goes against their conscience or their ethical or moral beliefs. Why is that so important? Well, one, no one should ever be forced to do something. Obviously, we have longstanding principles about ensuring that doctors and medical professionals are never coerced in any way as it relates to the issue of abortion, other issues, but it's much broader than that, Greg. And it's also, look, this is also a pro-patient bill. Because I don't know about you, but when I go, if I have, or someone I love is getting medical treatment, I want that doctor to be able to act in confidence that the decisions that they are making they're doing what they think is ethical and right, not what potentially some healthcare executive overlord, for lack of better terms, is demanding of them for whatever reason. So this is a pro medical conscience bill. It's also something that will benefit patients, and then also It will also help recruit medical care workers into our state. We know
Knowing
there
that
are
they're
shortages.
protected.
We heard testimony from a doctor, from those that were from Kentucky, have gotten their medical, education
License
elsewhere,
education, right.
and they are literally waiting to come back to Kentucky once this protection is put in place.
Yeah.
So this is
our good friend Senator Douglas, a doctor himself, is the one who authored this and pushed it.
Yes,
right?
carrying it, and organizationally, we have worked on this issue for several sessions. So again, that bill has passed the Senate. It got a hearing on Wednesday, passed out of a House hearing, and it will have to be voted on today. It's an incredibly important bill. This is the closest we've ever gotten to getting this important bill across the finish line. So please contact your House member in support of Senate Bill 132. And again, all these bills that we're going through, if you go to KentuckyFamily.org and click on our Take Action page, it's linked on the front of our website, you can take an updated message to your legislator on these. Another one is HJR 15. That is the bill to restore the Ten Commandments monument to the Kentucky Capitol. All that has to do is pass the Senate floor. I'm confident that, Lord willing, that is going to happen. But if you haven't already, please reach out to your senator in support of that bill. Another important one that we've talked a lot about even before the session, Greg, is the efforts to stop Governor Beshear and his administration from being able to pay for gender transitions in our correctional facilities for prisoners, and then also to reverse or undo the governor's unlawful executive order on so-called conversion therapy. Now, there's been a lot of news on this topic, Greg. As you probably saw, the Supreme Court of the United States is actually taking up a case related to a really bad conversion therapy law in another state. Governor Beshear has tried to force this via executive order because they can't get a law passed in Kentucky to suppress free speech, to suppress religious liberty, to tie the hands of counselors, particularly those that want to share a biblical view of human sexuality. We've talked about this. There's two bills that are moving on this topic. Senate Bill 2, which would ensure our tax dollars are protected from funding gender transitions, and then House Bill 495, which would undo the governor's executive order and actually do a little bit more on protecting our tax dollars as well. I'm not going to go into all the details. We have a combined alert on both of those bills that you can go take.
KentuckyFamily.org.
KentuckyFamily.org. One of those bills needs to pass the House, one needs to pass the Senate. But they're both just essentially one vote away, pretty much, from being sent to the governor.
I don't think, we may have a few, but I don't think hardly any of our listeners would want their tax dollars going for either of those things.
Absolutely.
To promote either one of those kind of things. But we need to turn that around.
Absolutely. And given that both of these are directly in response to outrageous actions taken by our leftist governor, who seems to be charting a path even to the left of Gavin Newsom in California. We'll come back to that another time. I suspect he will veto those bills for sure. So vitally important that those bills pass.
Today.
Please. Yes. Please. Another important one that has an opportunity to move forward is the bill to essentially help get cell phones out of the classrooms. We know it's such a tremendous distraction. I've even shared, Greg, that I heard via a pastor who's married to a teacher here in Lexington, concerns about kids actually gambling on their cell phones in school. In some cases, even doing so legally, because if you're 18 in the Commonwealth, you can do that. I mean, you want to talk about a distraction.
And we know there's another thing out there that's even worse than gambling,
absolutely.
With the pornography that kids can get to just about any way.
But even if the phones aren't accessing these things that are hugely problem, just simply having your phone as a distraction to you in the classroom is something. There's been a number of states and school districts all across the country. We're starting to see it. The tides turn and recognize, look, we've got to get these distractions out of the classroom so teachers can teach and so that kids
can
learn and also have discipline. Proper social interactions.
Right.
We've heard stories about how, kids are texting each other at school instead of having face-to-face conversations.
I think I could say it this way and you help everybody understand. We are more connected than we've ever been, but we have worse relationships than we've ever had. And that's crucial, especially for us who believe in the Lord and His kingdom.
Absolutely.
It's about relationships. So we want to see that, and maybe that's part of the other side, but we won't go there today. And then now
That's House Bill 208,
right.
if I didn't say it,
Right.
by Representative Josh Bray.
Yeah, and now this is what I alluded to. I'm not going to say a whole lot because I've heard a little bit about this from you and from Adia. She's been kind of an architect of a lot of this, and for good reason. But you've stepped in. We would love to hear a little bit more about this huge development that I think is going to be really good.
Yeah, and we're talking about it now because it's become public and,
Right.
and some language has passed and the media has been communicating about it. But incredibly thankful for the work that our friends at Kentucky Right to Life, the Pro-Life Caucus Chair, Nancy Tate,
Yes.
Representative Jason Nemes, others that have been involved to add some clarity to some of our pro-life protections to ensure ultimately that the laws of Kentucky reflect what the heart of that the laws already reflect,
Right.
which is we desire to save lives both of babies in the womb
Yeah.
and mothers.
Yeah.
And there has been a concerted effort in the media, in the pro-abortion industry, to cause and sow seeds of confusion as it relates to some things that are abortion and things that are not abortion.
Yeah, imagine that.
Whether we're talking about, in these heartbreaking situations, right, miscarriage, whether medical complications,
Ectopic pregnancy,
medical
yes, right.
complications that are incompatible with life, and that if left untreated, run the risk of potentially even taking the life of the mother. Right. Kentucky's existing laws provide some clarity to that, as every other pro-life law,
which has been long before Roe v. Wade was there. Yes,
but it is helpful to add some clarity to some of those things. So there has been an effort in some important legislation to ensure that there is additional clarity as it relates to what is and what is not an abortion under our law. Also some language to ensure that Kentucky promotes very pro-life prenatal palliative care, which has been an important issue and something that our friend Adia Warshner at Right to Life has been working on and championing for many years now. And so a couple of these issues have been combined together. House Bill 90 is one, and then I believe it's Senate Bill, House Bill 414. There's also Senate Bill 17, which deals with freestanding birthing centers. So there's some opportunities.
Several key issues coming together.
And we are encouraging folks to just encourage their legislators to support these pro-life and pro-mother opportunities that we have before the end of the session.
Well, and I can't tell you, David, you know this as well, but when we're out there and people recognize that we do some of this, you do a lot of it, I do this with this in my ministry, but I can't tell you the number of good conservative, even Christian people that go, but they're risking the mother's lives because they won't do it. It hardly ever happens.
Right.
If it does, you said they're sowing seeds of confusion.
Yeah.
This is wonderful because it will help clarify.
Yeah.
Clean it up.
Absolutely. And to make it clear, Planned Parenthood was there actively opposing these efforts to bring to clarity to the law.
Yeah. Because they don't want to lose that false argument.
Right, because they are seeking to sow confusion to promote their agenda.
Yeah. The legislative message line, 800-372-7181. Also contact me at loveandlordship@gmail if you want to go on the cruise. Today's the last day. I'm Greg Williams with David Walls. You're listening to The Authority of Love on a Family Foundation Friday.